We've been working with this story called The Wolf in Sheep's Clothing. You should have already reread the story with somebody at home. Now we're going to look at some questions that actually help us retell the story. And we're also going to look at a vocabulary question, and then you're going to answer a question on your own to practice answering questions this way. It's really important when we're looking at questions about a text that we're going back to the text to make sure that we're getting the answer right. So we look for that text evidence that proves our answer. We don't just answer the question and move on. So let's take a look at number 1. Read this sentence from the story. Every time he saw the wolf, he chased him back into the forest. Why is this event important to the beginning of the story? So I can see that I'm going back to the beginning of the story, and I'm looking for when the shepherd is chasing the wolf back into the forest. So I see that sentence right here. Every time he saw the wolf, he chased him back into the forest. So let's see. Let's look at our answer choices. It tells why the wolf can't get near the sheep. I go back to the text, and I'm looking at the beginning of the story again. It says, once there was a wolf who wanted nothing more than to eat one of the sheep that lived in the meadow, but the shepherd kept a close watch over the sheep. So A could be an option. Why can't he get near them? Well, because the shepherd is watching them and chasing the wolf away. So A would make sense. Even though I think A is the answer, I'm going to keep reading the rest of the options just in case there's a better answer. It tells why the sheep are not afraid of the wolf. Going back over here to the text, I don't see anything about the sheep being afraid of the wolf, so I know that that's not the answer. It tells why the wolf wanted to eat the sheep. Well, I don't think that the shepherd chasing the wolf really tells anything about why the wolf wants to eat the sheep. So that really doesn't make sense either. It tells why the shepherd forgot the fleece. Well, I see in paragraph 2 it says, then one night the wolf found a sheep's fluffy white fleece. The shepherd had forgotten it. Aha, cried the wolf, I think this fleece might solve my problem. We don't ever learn why the shepherd forgot the fleece. So I've looked at all my answer choices. I've eliminated answers that don't make sense. And I looked back at the text. So I can definitely say A is the answer. This question has 2 parts. First answer part A, then answer part B. How did the wolf fool the shepherd? So I'm looking at this word fool. The word fool means to trick. So how did the wolf trick the shepherd? So we have, he made a noise like a sheep, he hid in the forest, he waited until the shepherd left, or he wore the fleece of a sheep. I go back to the text. I see the wolf trotted into the meadow wearing the fleece. He walked among the sheep, and this time the shepherd didn't chase him away. So paragraph 4 is telling me about him tricking or fooling the shepherd. And I see he does that by wearing the fleece. So A, he made a noise like a sheep. That never happened. He hid in the forest. I don't see anything about him hiding in the forest as I go back into the text. He waited until the shepherd left. Well, I don't think the shepherd left. I think the shepherd's still there by what I'm reading, right? He wore the fleece of a sheep. Well, there's my text evidence right there. It says, wearing the fleece. So looking back at the text, I know that that's the answer because I looked for that evidence that proved this answer was right. Write the sentence from the text that explains why the wolf's trick worked. So I'm going back to paragraph 4. I see he's wearing the fleece. That's his trick. He walked among the sheep, and this time the shepherd didn't chase him away. So why did his trick work? Because the wolf trotted into the meadow wearing the fleece. So my sentence that proves part A is right here. So that's the sentence that I would write on these lines. So a lot of times you're going to have questions that ask for that specific text evidence. Question 3 is the one that you're going to be answering on your own today, so we are going to skip it. This is a vocabulary question. Which choice best shows what strolled means in the following sentence? So we're going to talk about context clues. Context clues are clues in the story that give away the meaning of an unknown word. So you might not know what the word strolled means, but looking closer at that sentence and the sentence before it, and also the sentence after it, you can figure out the meaning of the word. So the sentence is, the next day the wolf wore the fleece again and strolled freely among the sheep. So here's the word strolled. So what could it mean? He ran through the herd of sheep. He walked slowly among the sheep. He stayed away from the sheep. He chased the sheep into the meadow. So I know that whatever he's doing it freely among them. Could he be running? Well, looking at what he's doing and thinking about what his goals are, I don't think he'd be running through the herd of sheep. That might scare them, right? So that really wouldn't make sense for him to be running. That might give him away. He walked slowly among the sheep. Okay, so he walked slowly and freely among them. That would make sense that he would go slowly because, first of all, he's doing it freely, but he's probably being pretty careful too because he's trying to trick them. Let's look at the other options. He stayed away from the sheep. Well, I see the word among, and I know that that means he's there with them. So that means he's definitely not away from them. So that wouldn't make sense. He chased the sheep in the meadow. Well, if he's among them, then he's with them. So he's not chasing them away. So I know that strolling means walking slowly. It's really important that we're looking at those context clues that help us answer questions like that. You're going to be answering question 3 on your own now.